Hey, so we going nigger hunting today or what? Fuck you nigger hunting right now, huh?
You get them niggers.
Look at my soon-to-be sister-in-law. Look, she looks so pretty.
Police on me for coming in here to place an order. I'm in the club upstairs. And he gonna tell me, Jose, he said his cousin owned the store. His brother or somebody owned the fucking store. He called the police on me for coming in here ordering the sandwich. You said no niggas in the store. You said no niggas in the store. You know this is recording. You think this is a fucking prank? I'm recording you. I'm posting this on McDonald's fucking page right now. You think I'm not? Look at this shit. Yeah, he called, yeah, the police coming soon. Tell him I'm up fucking stairs in the club. I'm upstairs in the club and I got recording of this. And he keep threatening me with the police. You see how Mexicans, y'all is always protecting them. Talking about they black, they this, they that. Look at them, they racist and a motherfucker. They hate black people too. Look at him, he calling the police on me. Look at him. I ain't did nothing but come here to order a sandwich. I bought tickets to go to the club upstairs. I came downstairs to get a sandwich because I'm diabetic and I'm about to pass out. And they said they only have breakfast. I said, can I have a hash brown? She told me, she went to, you hear him? You see him? Look at him, making a gesture. Oh, no, don't worry.
Umbrella. She's up, she's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live, back again with another episode of The Forecast. Now, divide and conquer is a very real concept in our community. It's a simple technique, but it's very effective. One advantage the dominant society has is they learn how to put aside their tribalism. And we still haven't learned how to do that just to protect ourselves. Too many of us believe that if we don't identify ourselves as black, or we don't call ourselves as black, or if we identify with different cultures, that white supremacy in the dominant society will give us a pass and they won't treat us so bad. But we have to understand white supremacy is a global system. Anywhere you go, the darker you are, the worse you're treated. That's why you see so much skin bleaching in Africa. But it doesn't matter where you come from or what you believe. They still look at you the same way as they do the rest of us. In New York, an African brother from Guinea Muhamad Bah was shot 8 times by NYPD inside of his own apartment. So let's see what led to the death of this African brother Muhamad Bah and why he got shot 8 times by police in his own house.
911 emergency.
Hawa Bah knew something was wrong with her 28-year-old son, Mohamed, so she called 911.
Police fatally shoot a man wielding a knife in Harlem.
Tell those people why they killed my son for. I called them.
Investigators say a 28-year-old, Mohamed Bah, attacked 2 of the officers with a knife.
We want to know why they killed him, why they even break down the door.
Oh, so who will call now for help? Who will call for help? Who will call for help?
Can you just give us a summary of the case of Mohamed Bah?
In Mohamed Bah's case, his mother called 911, hoping to get an ambulance to come and take her son to the hospital. 2 officers arrived, and she explained to them, I didn't call the police, I wanted an ambulance. And they explained to her that the way it works in New York is we come first and check on the situation, and then we'll get the ambulance. She and the 2 officers went upstairs to the 5th floor in the apartment building, and the officers knocked on Mr. Bah's door. He opened the door, and when he saw the officers, he said, I didn't call you. You got the wrong door. And he tried to shut the door. Instead, they forced their way in, and there was a little struggle back and forth with the door. But at no time did he yell at them, at no time did he brandish a weapon. He shut the door and locked it. The officers then told Mrs. Bah and her colleagues to go back outside. So they left the building, assuming that the officers would help to get an ambulance. And as she stood outside, she saw more and more officers coming in with shields, riot gear, all sorts of weapons, guns, tasers. There were so many officers in the hallway at one point that you literally couldn't get by them. They commandeered the entire building. They wouldn't let anyone in, wouldn't let anyone out. Over about an hour of yelling, banging on the door, putting things under the door like a mirror of some sort. They broke the door down, tasered, beanbag, and shot him 8 times. The last bullet went into his head and had stippling around the entry wound, which says that shot, which probably took his life, was at close range.
So Mohamed Bah's mother called 911 to get him some paramedics to take him to the hospital because she said he was feeling depressed and wasn't acting like himself. And she made it clear she did not want the cops to come, only the paramedics. But instead, the NYPD showed up anyway, because apparently you have to have the police come before you can get some medical attention. So the police go up to his apartment, and when he opens the door, he tells the cop he does not want them there. He did not call him, and he doesn't want to talk to him, which apparently in New York is punishable by death. Just ask Kenneth Chamberlain Sr. So the 3 cops who showed up, and they're doing everything they can to protect their identity, but they were trying to break into his house, but he got the door shut and locked it. Now, mind you, they're on a mental health call where they weren't even supposed to show up, but the paramedics were supposed to come. But once he got the door shut, they called in the SWAT team for backup. Instead of letting his mom, who was the one who called the police in the first place, try to talk to him, they ended up sending her out of the building. Once they got inside his apartment, they opened fire and shot him 8 times, including 1 time in the head. And then that's when they decided to call for the paramedics. Now, according to the police, they said he had a knife, and one of the cops yelled, "He's stabbing me." And the grand jury cleared them of all charges as fast as they could. Because, of course, their go-to story, he feared for his life. But it turns out the cop was tased by his own partner. And he said he confused it with being stabbed. And he admitted he wasn't stabbed or hurt by anyone.
Mohamed Bah's family says they have new evidence that his murder by police was an execution, and the police department covered it up. After 18 months of investigation, lawyers of the family of Mohamed Bah claim to have enough evidence that his murder was not a case of self-defense. They also believe they can prove that the police department actively lied to cover up for the murder. Investigations show that at one point, after Mohamed was shot several times, a police officer bent over and shot him in the head to finish the job. The police department also lied about a police officer being stabbed by Mohamed. Police brutality has fueled many protests in the U.S. in recent years.
New York City's African communities were outraged over Bah's death. For them, it brought up disturbing memories of fellow Guinean Amadou Diallo's death by NYPD in 1999. Diallo was shot 41 times by undercover officers. And just like Diallo's death, city leaders and activists spoke against Bah's killing, classifying it as a case of police brutality.
When I come outside, Mohamed walked me up to the last building. But he was limping, lose weight, don't talk straight. And he was wound on the side of the forehead. And when we called the ambulance, I saw right here a police officer car in back. When I saw him, he came close to me. I said, "No, I don't call police. Go away, I call an ambulance." Finally, I see those people coming with my son with CPR. I said, "What's the people doing CPR to my son?" I run behind, I want to get in the ambulance for Mohamed. He said, no, you can't come with Mohamed. Finally, they took me in the living room and the doctor shook my hand and said, "I'm sorry for your loss. They killed your son." I said, "Why? Why they killed my son for?" I said, "You don't know."
The district attorney and the police work hand in hand every day. And I think it's really hard for a district attorney to turn around and prosecute the very officers that he depends on to prosecute his case.
If you simply look at the oversight entities now in place, the new Inspector General and new leadership at the CCRB, both resolute about getting it right in terms of the relationship between police and community.
If I know those people were going to kill my son, I'm not going to move. I was going to stick with my son. I was going to stick on that door. Now, they tell the people that he have the knife. And finally, they say the knife lost. I asked justice for Mohamed.
Now, even though they used a knife to justify the shooting, the knife they claim he had, they never even tested for fingerprints. And eventually, the knife came up missing. And when you look at his autopsy, the fatal shot to the head came from a downward trajectory, which goes against the knife story. This man, Mohamed Bah, had no criminal record. He was a student. He was a cab driver, which was supposed to be one of the most dangerous jobs you could have. But he was shot by NYPD in his own apartment after his mother called for paramedics. But a grand jury still said the cops were justified and used reasonable force.
We're here in downtown New York near the Department of Justice Southern District, where Hawa Bah, whose son was killed by the police 3 years ago, along with her supporters, activists, lawyers, and several women whose sons were also killed by the police, are holding that rally over there behind me, calling on the Department of Justice to take action for actual justice, as they say, to prevail. You see, Mrs. Bah and her attorneys claim that they have enough evidence now to prove that her son was killed by the police unlawfully, and the investigation that followed was a cover-up operation.
My son was a good boy. My son never committed a crime all his life. I said, those officers tell you they don't have any evidence, you let them go? He said, oh, we don't talk about that. I said, you don't talk about that, mother. My son, 28 years, 3 years before he 28 years, wife there. I needed justice. We are not stopped here. I fight for justice the rest of my life. They just make me strong to fight for justice, because the broke heart what I have, I don't want even my enemy to have that same thing. I wish every person to not have the same problem what I have, and I need justice for Mohamed Bah, for the other future generation which come from New York. They should get freedom, not a discrimination of races.
Just to remind you, on September 25th, 2012, Hawa Bah came to her son's apartment, who appeared to have been suffering from depression. He wasn't opening the door, so she called 911, asked for doctors to arrive at the scene, but instead a police unit arrived at the scene, ended up storming into the apartment and shooting Mr. Bah to death. Police claimed that he had a knife in his hand. However, Ms. Bah claims, and her attorneys say, that this knife was never presented to them. Nonetheless, a jury failed to indict any of the officers involved.
The Emergency Services Unit of the NYPD did everything wrong in responding to that call for help, resulting in them forcing open the door, attempting to taser him, shooting him with an R1 shotgun, and then shooting at him 10 times, with 8 bullets striking him, and the final fatal bullet striking him in the side of the head, having been shot at close range while he was still alive. And we think, if nothing else, the people in this building, the Department of Justice, cannot ignore the fact that a young man is dead because a New York City police officer shot him in the head at close range for no reason.
Ms. Bah and her lawyers plan to present their new evidence to the Department of Justice on Wednesday, so we'll be following this story as it continues.
Now, they did award his family $2.2 million in a settlement, but there are some Africans who come over here and think they're going to be seen as different from us, but they see you as the same. When that Somalian cop, Mohamed Noor, shot that white woman, all that Blue Lives Matter stuff went right out the window. All of a sudden, this cop have to be held accountable. And they charged him with murder and didn't even offer him a plea deal. That whole fear for my life excuse went right out the window in this case. If you shoot and kill a white woman, now something has to be done. But the cops that shot Stephon Clark because they feared a cell phone, they got their paid vacation. They weren't charged with any crimes. They didn't face any charges. And now they're right back on the street patrolling the same areas. But instead of putting aside our differences and our tribalisms and our beliefs, we still busy arguing with each other. And a lot of our history has been destroyed. But the people in Africa have been miseducated just like we have. Melanated people all over the world have been miseducated. But we're still fighting each other based off which part of the world we come from, even though we all suffer under the same system of white supremacy, no matter where you go. Europeans may say, I'm German, I'm French, I'm English, I'm Russian, I'm Jewish, and they may even have their differences. But when it comes to us and non-whites, they put aside their differences and get cooperative real quick. They get on code. Whether you want to call yourself an African or not, they are subject to white supremacy just like the rest of us. But instead of getting on code, we let cultural differences divide and conquer us. That's why white people were able to control South Africa so long, even though they were the minority. They used their whiteness to stay on code and used our cultural differences to divide us. And we still let those same cultural differences divide us, instead of working together to protect ourselves. But at the end of the day, we're all we got. If we don't do what we got to do to change the situation ourselves, then it's never going to change. They're never going to give up power. Why would they? The blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors and the protection of the next generation has to be enough motivation to respond with more urgency than they do. And if we don't, we'll continue to be subject to their laws and their punishments, and they can do whatever they want to do anytime they want to do it.
Yeah, there was a document filed last month that said Mohamed Noor plans to plead not guilty in Damon's death. The thought was that plea may come today, only it didn't. Swarmed by cameras, former Minneapolis police officer Mohamed Noor was back in court Tuesday. Inside, Noor did not enter a plea, and the hearing lasted just 3 minutes.
No, this was a completely normal formality that you would see every day with a case.
Michael Brandt is an attorney with Brandt Criminal Defense in Anoka.
No plea was entered because under the rules of criminal procedure, a defendant doesn't enter a plea until there's been a finding of probable cause.
Essentially, Brandt says, both sides are sharing evidence and need more time to go through it all.
Clearly, Officer Noor violated the rules and deserves to be charged.
Back on March 20th, Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman charged Noor with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter in the death of Justine Damond, who he shot in an alley behind her home in South Minneapolis last summer after she called police to report a possible crime. Brandt expects this to go to trial and says it's going to come down to this.
The defense has got a specific statute that allows an officer to use deadly force if they believe that they are going to protect themselves or somebody else from death or great bodily harm.
Although Brandt adds the state will argue that Noor should have assessed the threat before firing past his partner and through the open driver's side window, as noted in documents by the BCA.
They may call into question what he did, whether that was according to training, to try and build their case to show, no, this was unreasonable. A reasonable police officer wouldn't have done exactly as he did.
For now, though, we wait.
Justine, would you like to apologize to Justine's family?
With the world watching.
Do you feel like you're being treated fairly?
By the way, the courtroom was packed today. So many people, they were forced to stand outside. Right now, there's not another court date set, but both sides will work together to figure that out.
Stephon Clark walked through the doors of his jailhouse interview room wearing an orange jumpsuit and a wide smile, turning to wave to the camera before picking up the phone to talk.
Stephon, how you doing, sir? Good, how are you? I'm holding that.
I asked Clark to explain his arrest.
You were arrested today, and you're facing some serious charges. One is for assault, and another is for vandalism, and another is for threats, and another is for abusing 911. What do you say about all that?
I've never touched anybody in my life.
Police arrived at Clark's home Thursday morning after a series of calls for service reports Clark was acting erratically. Dispatcher audio recordings describe a wild scene.
It looks like we're getting multiple calls about it. He's streaming it live on the internet, armed with a machete, threatening a female at that address.
Clark paused when I asked about that.
What happened?
I talked to my lawyer.
The brother of Stephon Clark, Stephon Clark, burst onto the national scene when he jumped onto the mayor's desk during a Sacramento City Council meeting. Despite his arrest now, he says he loves everybody.
Right now, everybody loves everybody. I'm not going to let nobody talk about my president. I'm not going to let anybody talk about my city. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not moving. I'm not running away.
So you're telling me everybody loves everybody, but the police are telling the public that you made threats against others.
Well, I don't care what the police told you guys, because I love everybody, even the police who said that.
Stephon Clark is not eligible for bail. His first court appearance is set for tomorrow afternoon.
Liz, the details are contained in this internal affairs report from PBSO. The bottom line, investigators determined this deputy went too far. The incident involving PBSO deputy Frank D'Orsini was caught on video. According to the internal affairs report, the deputy, wearing his PBSO uniform, made a racially derogatory comment in the presence of a West Palm Beach police officer who was wearing a body-worn camera. In the video, the deputy uses the N-word. He said, "It smells like effing dirty N-word in my effing car." The report states Deputy D'Orsini called police to investigate a break-in of his personal vehicle, a Jeep, that was parked outside his house. The culprit had cut open the rear passenger vinyl window. Deputy D'Orsini told the officer the culprit had stolen about $80 from his wallet when they broke into his Jeep. We showed the video to State Senator Bobby Powell, an African-American state lawmaker from Palm Beach County.
It's very alarming. I'm very concerned that this would happen.
Deputy D'Orsini told Internal Affairs he was upset and mad that his property was violated. According to the IA report, he said his emotions got the better of him and he realizes he represents PBSO while in uniform and this behavior would not continue.
It's not just the language. It's not just something that he said. It was the tone behind it and the intent, the hurtfulness.
PBSO gave us a written statement saying, quote, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office holds its employees to the highest standards and never forgets about its duty to preserve the public's trust. Allegations of inappropriate behavior, criminal or otherwise, are taken very seriously. Recently, PBSO had another incident involving a deputy who allegedly made disturbing posts on social media. One post shows Deputy Jason Van Dusen smoking a cigar while in uniform. It reads, taking a break after 2 shootings tonight in Belgrade. Another post compares Michelle Obama to a monkey. And the Sheriff's Office suspended Deputy D'Orsini for 40 hours and ordered him to take some diversity training. We reached out to the Sheriff's Office to see if they could contact him to see if he had any comment for the story, but so far they have not.
On my bill, this top dog bill, on my bill, this top.
She was explaining it to us and she ain't finished. She called you, so we'll wait until you finish with this. We'll wait until you finish. No, we're gonna wait till you finish. We'll wait till you finish. Till you want to talk to him. No, you said for us to come out here and talk to him, so that's what we're outside for. No, he brought us outside. He brought us outside to talk. I gotta pay our bill. He the one told us to come outside.
You told me to come outside.
No, the officer told us to come outside. The officer told us to come outside. For what? For what? He ain't did nothing. He ain't did nothing.
Calm down. For what? My hands in there. I'm telling you to calm down. Nothing, sir.
Pay your bill.
I'm not paying nothing. I want to know.
We don't know why our bill is so high. That's what she was explaining to us.
Listen.
Hold up.
No, if you don't pay your bill, you're going to jail.
We was out in there. Listen, we want our bill to be explained to us. And will you come back here and make her explain the bill to us?
Why did you explain?
We cannot pay nothing with you if you ain't explaining it to us.
I'm not paying no bills because you said it, sir.
Okay, cool. Watch this.
What?
Hey, if they don't pay your bill, you want to press charges?
Wait. I don't care about no present charge. What's going to press charge on me? When I'm willing to pay my bill, I want to understand.
I wanted to pay my bill. She explained it to me. Can you come here while she explained it to me?
Hold up.
Then let her make her explain it. We was complaining. So we told her she is charging too much money, so she called you.
Let's talk, because this is what they want. Sir, I'm sitting here adding my bill up. How my bill this high? Hold on, I don't care.
No, listen. We listen to you. Listen to us.
Why am I bill this high?
This is what we asked her. This is what we asked her.
Hold on.
Sir, this is what we asked her.
What am I going to jail for?
For theft.
How? For what?
Turn around.
Nothing.
Turn around.
Why is my bill?
Why is you putting your face out? All he asked us a question. What? Yes, I'm paying my bill, but why is he doing this? We asked him a question. He asked him to explain.
Okay, turn around and put your hands
No, I'm not leaving my boyfriend out here with his gun on him. I swear to God, I'm not leaving my boyfriend out here with his gun on him. I will go pay my bill. He pulled that, take that gun off him. He's not did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong at all.
My hands in there, sir.
He did nothing wrong at all.
I did nothing.
None at all. And how you gonna take shit? I need y'all names too. I need everything because he did nothing wrong at all.
Why my bill is high?
And asked her to explain it. And she called the police. And you will not even let him explain it, talk to you about it. No, I want you to come here while she explains it to us. I'm not paying her for that high bill. She explained it to me what I'm not paying for. Then why y'all arresting him if you don't have nothing to do with it? I'm not listening either then, that's the case. I'm going to go in here and ask you, no, come and actually explain my bill to me. I'm not paying it unless she explains it the right way. No. Now, I will pay you. Can you explain me the bill the right way? I'm not paying until I get the bill explained to me. See, that's what, he just told me to come here and pay you. I can't pay you then. Ma'am, she just said I don't have to pay until y'all talk to her. So why you take away him?
Get away from my car.
I'm right here. I ain't got to go nowhere.
Okay, so why you taking me?
Well, then why you taking me to jail? She ain't got nothing to do with the bill. She just said that she got to take my money until she talked to y'all.
What's his name? Get his name.
I watched it, but she said she cannot talk to us until she talked to you. What's your name, sir?
Get the badge and name.
Your badge number, your name. He ain't did nothing wrong. Why is you handling him like that? Why is you handling him like that? I'm watching video. He handling him the wrong way for no reason.
Get in the car, all the way in the car.
You can't get all the. Can you wait till you get to the car and let him get situated?
You don't get in the car.
How can I get in, sir?
Figure it out. Get in.
No, she won't talk to me to you. She will not talk to me to you. Come in there. She will not talk to me to you. Come in there. That man will tell you she will not talk to you to y'all. Come in there.
I'm just asking.
94.
What
Well,
made
I
you
think you
think?
might have a warrant.
Why
So I
would
gotta
you
check.
make you think? What made you think? I
Right,
have a
why
warrant?
would you just stop
I'm just
him
saying,
and ask
why
him
would
that?
you make?
Because I've dealt with you before.
So what do that mean? You think I got a warrant then?
Yeah, exactly. So just stand by.
It's harassment. Record this.
It is.
I'm taking this to the police. This is harassment.
It's not harassment. It's called me doing my job.
No,
It's
you
not,
don't just
because I'm
stop
walking in
nobody
the
and
store,
say, do
just
they got
stop it.
one?
There's plenty of people walking in the store that you never stop.
Put your voice down.
How
Nah,
can you
what
just
is
walk
this
up on
harassment?
somebody and say that?
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to a supervisor.
You just need to stand there.
I need your badge number. I need your badge number.
This
I
is
hope your
harassment.
camera on.
No, it's not. Yeah, it is on.
This is harassment. You just stopping somebody asking them.
Stop talking
Why
loud
are
in
you in
public.
his face like that?
me in my face.
Why are you
I'm
in
telling
his
you,
face
keep your
like
voice
that?
down in public
Okay,
so I
but
can
why
do my
are you
job.
in his face like
I'm walking
that?
in the store. He said, "Look, I got one."
Keep your voice
Why
down.
are you in his
Why are
face?
you
It
in
don't
my face?
matter.
Keep your voice down.
Record it. Why are you in
I
my
am.
face?
I am.
I'm coming in the store with my fiance. He said I look like somebody who have a
Right.
warrant.
How can you just do that?
He can't do that.
Just let you know, Moni, they're recording. Okay.
Yeah,
He
me
can't
too.
do that. That's harassment. Then you get on my face like that. I ain't disrespect that. But that's too much.
Calm down, it's okay.
That's I record that.
I already did.
No, I'm pressing charge. I want his badge
He's
number.
probably recording too.
I want his badge number. I want his badge number.
Just give us a few minutes, okay?
I want his badge number.
4742.
I don't have no warrant.
If you don't, then you can walk away.
I want your badge number because I'm reporting you.
4742.
You just got in my face for no reason that was disrespectful.
Because you're
John.
yelling in a public store.
But
How
I
can
can't
he
be
come
in
in
the
a public
store.
store? You the one
You
who
the one
pulled him
causing
up.
the disturbance.
You need to back
No,
up.
record that.
For
You
what?
can't
What?
just stop
That's
talking
my
like that.
husband.
Back up.
She record. She ain't gotta go nowhere.
Yes, she does.
No, she don't. Record.
I'm recording.
She don't gotta go nowhere.
She's not part of this.
She is.
I am.
This is my wife. She don't got. Go ahead. Record it. I want his badge number after this.
I already told you.
John, just be quiet. Let him just run his. Or let him just write his.
What's your badge number? What's your badge number?
I just told you.
What is it?
I told you 3 times, buddy.
What is it? What's your badge number?
I told you 3 times. How hard is that?
I'm trying to write it down.
Okay.
So what is it?
4742.
4742. What's your name?
Right there. On
All
my
right.
tag.
Record that.
Yeah.
That's harassment.
Because you check
No, because you just got.
Why
in my
do you?
face
You
and
what?
did all
What
that
cause
crazy.
did you have the
You
probable
told
cause
me.
to do that? To just pull up.
You're not as
So
good
why
as
you
back
ain't
up.
ask me? Did I have a
can't.
warrant?
I didn't
Why
ask
you
you.
ain't ask me?
So why you ain't ask
Why
him?
not?
Do he got one?
Why didn't you ask
They
me?
walking right there. Why you ain't ask her? Do she
Yeah,
got
why
one?
didn't you ask
Why
me?
you ain't ask them? Do they
I
have
might
one?
got
Because
one.
they weren't in court the other day.
So what? I didn't miss court. You was there.
He ain't Miss Court.
You was there with
That's
me.
what I'm checking.
You
was
lying.
Okay, folks.
He was just in court
Stop
with
yelling
me.
in a public store.
I'm taking this to
I'm not
court.
going to tell you again.
This harassment.
No, you're causing
harassment.
disturbance.
You're harassing me
You're
because
disturbing
you.
John, just be quiet. Just be quiet. Just be quiet.